Formula One's four-time world champion just publicly said he hates his sport so much, he's thinking about quitting, and NASCAR is sitting here doing absolutely nothing about it. That's either the biggest missed opportunity in motorsport history, or there's something already happening behind closed doors that nobody's talking about yet. We're going to get into all of that. But first, a NASCAR team just collapsed. A driver nobody expected is now locked into a race this weekend, and someone out there actually paid $10,000 for a single ticket to San Diego. $10,000. We have a lot to cover. I'm Matt. This is Break Hard. And I need to start with AM Racing because this one genuinely stings. Nick Sanchez is out. The number 25 car has been withdrawn from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race at Rockingham this weekend, and what makes this hurt even more is that AM Racing was the only full-time Ford program in the entire series. Gone. Just like that. The deal to get that team on the grid was assembled in about a week before Daytona, which should have been a warning sign for everyone, and now here we are, weeks into the season, and that entry has vanished from the field. Daniel Dye was announced for the 52 inches select races, and even that situation remains completely unclear. Nobody knows what's actually going on inside that organization right now. And that uncertainty? That's the part that should scare you if you care about the health of this series. Because what this does is strip the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series of its only full-time Ford presence, leaving one single Ford in the field, the number 5 Hettinger car, which JJ will drive this weekend at Rockingham. One Ford. In an entire series. Meanwhile, 38 cars are showing up for 38 spots, so yes, everyone gets in, but the optics of one manufacturer being represented by a single entry are not great, and nobody in the media is really saying that loudly enough. Something isn't adding up with AM Racing, and I think we're going to find out more about what's really going on there over the next few weeks. For Nick Sanchez, hopefully he lands on his feet because none of this appears to be his fault. Now let's talk about who benefits from all of this chaos. Cletus McFarland. Yeah, the YouTube creator just got himself a guaranteed starting spot in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race at Rockingham this Saturday because AM Racing's withdrawal thinned the field enough to lock him in. And here's what makes this genuinely interesting: Cletus brings his cameraman George Siciliano into the whole thing, which means the content machine is fully operational this weekend. Eyes that have never watched a single lap of short-track racing in their lives are about to tune in specifically because of him. That's actually a case study in how NASCAR is trying to grow its audience right now. Whether you love it or hate it, it's working. And I'll be there in person to see exactly how it plays out. I'm heading to Rockingham this weekend for the Truck Series race Friday, the O'Reilly race Saturday, and that ARCA East Series event as well. Going to be a full weekend. But before we get to what's happening on track, let's talk about the Truck Series roster move that actually makes a lot of sense when you understand what it could be setting up for the future. Kaulig Racing announced Tuesday that LaJoie will take over the number 10 truck for the remainder of the 2026 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series season. He replaces Daniel Dye, who resigned from the team. Kaulig accepted his resignation and put out a statement to confirm it. What Dye does next is genuinely unclear. But for LaJoie, this is a smart move, and it might be smarter than most people are giving it credit for. Here's why. LaJoie ran 9 Truck Series races last year with Spire Motorsports and delivered 3 top 5s and 7 top 10s in those 9 starts. He already made a start for Kaulig Racing earlier this year at Darlington, finished 21st, ran considerably better than that before something went sideways late in the race. He also started the season at Daytona with Henderson in the 75 truck. The guy knows how to get in new equipment and produce. And here's the layer that almost nobody is talking about: Dodge is planning to expand into the NASCAR Cup Series. Corey LaJoie is a veteran Cup Series driver. If Kaulig is building toward that future, having LaJoie embedded in their program right now, helping develop the Mopar truck, learning the team, building relationships inside that organization, that is not an accident. That is a plan. Whether it works out for him or not, you can see exactly why this move benefits both sides. He also did genuinely impressive television work at Prime last summer, and I really hope that continues because he was fantastic on air. The guy has range on the truck and in front of the camera. Now, let's talk about the story that every single NASCAR fan and every single Formula One fan should be paying attention to right now. Because this one has the potential to be the biggest crossover moment in the history of American motorsport, and the window to make it happen is sitting wide open for about 3 more weeks before it closes forever. Max Verstappen hates Formula One right now. Not quietly, not privately. Loudly, publicly. To anyone who will listen. He went to Japan this past weekend and told the entire world he's considering retirement. Martin Brundle, who has seen everything in this sport for 3 decades, essentially told him, point blank, either retire or stop threatening to. That is how constant this has become. Max Verstappen, 4-time Formula One world champion, is actively, publicly, repeatedly expressing that he does not want to be where he is. And NASCAR has a road course race at Watkins Glen on May 10th, sitting directly between the Miami Grand Prix on May 3rd and the Canadian Grand Prix on May 24th. Formula One goes dark for 3 weeks. Max has nothing to race. And Watkins Glen is right there. You cannot tell me that gap is not an opportunity. NASCAR should be making that call today. Not next week. Today. Because think about what this actually means if it happens. You get a 4-time world champion in a Cup Series car on a road course, and you are looking at the most internationally watched NASCAR race in the history of the sport. Not top 5. The most watched. Full stop. The Drive to Survive audience alone would tune in by the millions. International headlines. Social media completely overwhelmed. Every Formula One media outlet on the planet covering a NASCAR event. And domestically? Every casual F1 fan in America suddenly has a reason to care about Watkins Glen. This isn't a stunt. This is a legitimate business decision with a massive upside and almost no downside for NASCAR. Now the obvious question, who does he drive for? I see a massive amount of people in comments suggesting Trackhouse, the 91, because of the Red Bull sponsorship connection. I need you to stop and think about this for 1 second. Trackhouse has some races sponsored by Red Bull. That does not make it a Red Bull team. Max Verstappen is Ford's single most valuable global motorsport asset on the planet right now. There is zero universe in which Ford allows their biggest name to come to America and drive anything other than a Ford product in the most prominent domestic racing series in the country. Zero. He goes Ford or he doesn't go at all. Slap some Red Bull livery on a Mustang, make a phone call, and let's have a conversation. It is that straightforward. Will he win? No. And I say that knowing it's going to upset a portion of the audience, but it's the truth and it needs to be said. This is not a Shane Van Gisbergen situation. SVG had a car with genuine mechanical similarities to what he races in Australia, a sequential gearbox that translated directly, a street course format nobody on the Cup grid had serious experience with, and weather conditions that threw everyone off. The variables aligned perfectly for him. Watkins Glen is a legacy road course that these Cup guys run every single year. They know every inch of it. The car is completely foreign to Max. The tire management, the drafting, the weight of the machine, all of it is different from anything he's experienced. A top 20 finish would be a genuine success. A top 15 would be a story people talk about for years. And either way, the entire world is watching. That is the whole point. Max has already branched out this year into GT3 racing because he genuinely cannot stand the current Formula One regulations, which, by the way, are actually as bad as he says they are, regardless of how many people online keep insisting otherwise. They are bad. He's bored. He's frustrated. He's looking for stimulation. And over here in NASCAR, there's no hybrid battery management, no deployment windows, no energy harvesting calculations. It's a V8. You put your foot down. You go. The bald eagles sing. Maybe that's exactly what Max Verstappen needs right now. Chances of it actually happening? Low. But the fact that it's even a real conversation tells you something about where Formula One is right now and where NASCAR's international ambition is headed. Now let's talk about San Diego, because this is where I need you to tell me in the comments whether you think NASCAR has completely lost the plot or whether this is actually genius. The race at Naval Base Coronado is shaping up to be the most visually insane event NASCAR has ever produced. Cup cars threading through a naval base with aircraft carriers in the background, helicopters overhead, military aircraft on the flight line. The renderings alone look like something out of a movie. It is genuinely unlike anything this sport has ever attempted. And apparently, people are spending serious money to be there because 2 of the premium hospitality tiers are already completely sold out. The Hangar Club watched the race from inside an actual aircraft hangar sold out. Cool concept, great visual, gone. The Admirals Club start-finish line positioning, premium experience, $2,500 to $4,200 also sold out. That leaves exactly one premium hospitality option remaining, the 1,948 Club, $10,810 per ticket. That is not a typo, nearly $11,000. That is a used Honda Civic. That is what used to be a solid down payment on a house before the economy decided to have its own personal crisis. That is a genuinely absurd number, and yet it exists, and it is still available, which means someone is going to buy it and they are going to have the most expensive NASCAR afternoon of their entire life. What do you get? World-renowned chefs, climate-controlled viewing rooms, premium seating, couches, garage tours, hauler access, the full Formula One Paddock Club experience, NASCAR edition. There's probably a decorative fern involved. Would it make a good tax write-off? Possibly. Would it be more entertaining than a Taylor Swift concert or a Super Bowl suite? Almost certainly. But here's the thing that I think people are missing when they see the backlash online about these prices: these are not general admission tickets. Your average race weekend in San Diego is going to run you somewhere around $200 for general admission and probably $400 for a full weekend package. That's very much in line with what Chicago cost. These premium tiers exist for a specific type of buyer, and that buyer is not you or me. Friday's Truck Series race at Naval Base Coronado is also closed to the general public. That day is reserved for military members, their families, and people on base. Which is actually a genuinely good thing and more than a fair trade, given that NASCAR is literally racing on a military installation. Prime has the broadcast for the weekend, and if they handle it the way they've been handling their NASCAR coverage, it is going to look absolutely incredible on screen. So, if you cannot get there, the broadcast is going to give you something worth watching. But if you can get there, and the $11,000 option isn't in the budget, which is most of us, just know that the two affordable premium options are gone and they are not coming back. So here's where I leave you today, and I genuinely want to know what you think. AM racing going dark, are they finished or do they find a way back? Cletus McFarland locked into the O'Reilly Series race, good for the sport or a problem? Corey LaJoie in the Kaulig 10 truck, smart long-term chess move or just a seat filler? And Max Verstappen, does NASCAR actually make that call? And if they do, does he say yes? Drop your answer in the comments. If you've been watching and haven't subscribed yet, now's a reasonable time. I'm Matt. I'll see you at Rockingham.